Russia mobilizes cancer patients for the war in Ukraine. On December 23rd, Daniil Myatin, a Moscow school teacher diagnosed with cancer, was forcibly conscripted into the army. Despite the fact that the man had recently undergone surgery, the Military Registration and Enlistment Office declared him fit for service and did not allow him to appeal the decision.
Danya is in the city assembly point at 3 Ugreshkaya Street. In the morning, a district police officer came to his apartment and, using force, took him to the Military Registration and Enlistment Office. In spite of his health condition and the fact that he is a teacher, he was forcibly taken away and not given a legal right to appeal the decision. Now he is without connection and documents, and they will not let him give his belongings. Daniil Myatin's girlfriend in a command for the SOTA project.
Daniil's mother Olga said that her son was called cannon fodder at the enlistment office and was told directly that her son, who has never served, would soon be sent to the front, the Doha publication reported. She was also not allowed to give her son his belongings. The woman has already written a letter to the military prosecutor's office and found a lawyer, but so far there has been no result. The publication reports that Myatin is a pro-government activist who took an active part in patriotic initiatives. He was a victory volunteer and a member of Putin's new pioneer movement. These events occurred after statements in the Kremlin about raising the conscription age for military service and increasing the size of the army by more than 30%.
Gradually increase the age of conscription of citizens from 18 to 21 years, raising the age limit to 30 years. To ensure the fulfillment of tasks and to ensure Russia's military security, it is necessary to bring the number of servicemen in the armed forces up to 1.5 million, including 695,000 servicemen on contracts.
At the same time, the Kremlin has banned controlled media from spreading any information related to the mobilization, reports the Moscow Times, citing its sources in Russian media. Such an order was received on the eve of the New Year holidays.
Before that, we could write about the current mobilization and about possible scenarios and forecasts. Now all forecasts are stopped. The demand says that it is impossible to quote, even if the statement was made by a State Duma deputy or senator, from an article of the Moscow Times publication.
The publication suggests that the Kremlin made this decision amid rumors of a second wave of mobilization, as well as a proposal by Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu regarding an increase in the size of the Russian army. The editor of the Doha publication, Armen Aramyan, says that when men in Russia get to the military enlistment office, from that moment they have no more rights. Therefore, health status is not an obstacle for conscription.
We told a story in Doha about a man who had a spinal condition. He could neither stand nor sit normally, and he was also drafted and told that the hernia would be removed on the spot, and it's hard to talk about rights here.
Human rights activist Nikolai Polozov advises Russians, potential conscripts, not to approach the Military Registration and Enlistment Office and not to take summons.
If there are grounds for deferment, it is better to take care of the realization of these grounds as early as possible. It is better to contact a lawyer to do this. There are many ways not to be at war, and in this sense, while the legislation does not strictly punish, for example, refusal to appear at the Military Registration and Enlistment Office from receiving a summons, so far it is an administrative responsibility ranging from 500 to 3,000 rubles in fines. The most correct option is to leave the country if possible, since the authorities have not closed the borders at the moment. They allow people to leave.
Ukrainian intelligence reports that the Kremlin is not planning to stop mobilization, but rather is preparing, quote, new, more powerful waves, forms, methods, accounting systems. According to Andriy Yusov, representative of the main intelligence directorate of the Ministry of Defense of Ukraine, the war will affect every citizen of Russia, and they must all understand that it will not be possible to avoid the consequences without overthrowing the regime and withdrawing from the occupied territories. Reported by Sergei Kulas, Victoria Sinko, UATV News.